I'm Lenaa, and the day Mark left for another extended business trip, an old familiar emptiness crept in, wrapping around me until even my horse felt like the only soul who truly understood my silence. Morning light filtered gently through the curtains, brushing the walls with a soft gold. The hush in the rooms was louder than ever, echoing Mark's absence like a hollow drumbeat. I stood by the window, holding a cup of tea gone cold, my thoughts heavy with the stretch of quiet days ahead. Outside, I heard the rhythmic clop of hooves on the gravel path. Jack, my beautiful horse, waited near the stable, his deep eyes calm and quietly welcoming. A quiet breath slipped past my lips. He was always there, always waiting. A constant, my silent comfort. The days ahead looked wide and empty, but at least I had Jack to share them with. I dressed and headed outside, the crisp air brushing my face like a soft reminder that I was still here, still grounded. The scent of hay and soil met me as I reached the stable, bringing a strange peace. Jack nudged my hand, his breath warm and steady against my skin. With him, the ache inside lost its sharp edge. He was no ordinary animal to me. Jack was my listener, the quiet presence who stood firm when everything else shifted. As I prepared him for a ride, old thoughts returned, memories of Mark and me, laughter that once came easily, dreams we'd painted together, now faded like old photographs. Distance had crept in slowly, quietly, until it filled the space between us. But Jack never changed. With him, there was no need to hide or pretend. Only trust, the kind built in silence and carried through every shared breath. We rode out into the open fields, the wind tangling through my hair. The steady rhythm of Jack's strides pulsed like a reminder that I was still alive, still capable of feeling. Each gallop echoed hope, a hope that connection still lived somewhere within me. The landscape stretched out, glowing gold beneath the sky. This was our haven, Jack's and mine. A place where words weren't needed. Somehow, this wild creature gave me a peace no person ever had. Wildflowers scented the breeze, and the soft swish of grass was all that broke the quiet. My thoughts turned again to the simpler days when Mark and I shared silent moments like this, moments that once felt whole. But those were distant now, like voices lost in fog. Jack slowed to a gentle pace, sensing my mood. I leaned forward, resting my head against his mane. "You get me, don't you?" I whispered. "Better than anyone." His calm breath filled the silence like a lullaby. In those moments, we weren't horse and rider. We were something else, bound in a quiet understanding few could ever name. As time passed, I found myself relying more on Jack, not just for company, but for the comfort of being seen. When the night fell and the house turned cold and still, I'd find myself walking toward the stable, lantern in hand. The flickering light danced across the wooden beams, and Jack's nearness was like a warm blanket on my unsettled heart. I'd sit beside him, fingers trailing over his neck, finding peace in the simple rhythm of his breath. There was something unexplainable about those late hours. A quiet pull between us, a closeness that words couldn't reach. As if he sensed the weight I carried and chose to share it with me. The longer Mark was gone, the more that quiet bond with Jack grew. It wasn't like love as most know it. It was deeper, softer. A steady knowing that someone or something was truly there. One evening, as the sun melted into colors of fire and rose, I found myself whispering thoughts I hadn't dared say out loud. "Maybe you're the only one who truly sees me," I told him, voice shaking. Jack gently nudged me, his eyes deep with something that felt like understanding. The rest of the world fell away in that moment. Just him and me, wrapped in a bubble of stillness and something more than friendship. I started to see love differently, not just as a vow spoken or a ring exchanged, but in quiet moments, in shared breaths, in the calm of being known. Mark's return kept getting delayed, and with every passing day, the silence in the house thickened. But Jack remained my safe place, the one soul who never turned away. One night, the wind carried the scent of rain and something electric. Something strange. I stood beside Jack near the woods, shadows curling around us. The air held its breath. I touched his muzzle, and a shiver ran through me. "Do you feel it too?" I asked him, barely above a whisper. He gave a soft sound in response. It felt like the world was changing in that moment, like something deeper was unfolding. Jack wasn't just a companion anymore. He was the keeper of my truth, the gentle soul who held all the parts of me I couldn't show the world. I thought about Mark's last hurried goodbye, his lips brushing my forehead like a habit. That kiss had felt like a goodbye in more ways than one. It had left behind a silence I hadn't known how to fill until now. That evening, Jack's warmth steadied me. As I placed my hands on him, he leaned in, and something stirred inside me. A feeling too deep to name. I stepped back, startled by the depth of it. Was it wrong to need something so completely? But Jack didn't ask questions. He just stayed. And in that stillness, I found a kind of peace. The sky above blinked with stars, casting silver glimmers on the scene we silently shared. A few days later, a short note arrived from Mark. No warmth in his words, just a vague promise of return. I held the paper without feeling. My eyes drifted to Jack. "You're all I have left that feels real," I whispered. The night wrapped around us, soft and heavy, blurring the lines between sorrow and love. The dark hours stretched longer, but in Jack's company, the weight lifted. One night, under the stars, I pressed my face against his neck and listened to the rhythm of his breathing. It calmed something wild inside me. "Jack," I murmured, emotions rising, "you've become everything I never knew I needed." His breath was warm on my skin. When his nose brushed my hand, I let the tears come. Tears not just of sadness, but of something deeper. Something that felt like love, even if it didn't have a name. In those moments, I learned that love can show up in unexpected forms. In quiet eyes, in steady presence, in knowing you are never truly alone. Mark's world was far away now. Deadlines and distance had taken him from me. But here, with Jack, was a connection unshaken by time. I touched his neck, warmth rising through my fingertips. In his stillness, I found a sense of home. A reminder that real closeness isn't always loud. Sometimes it's soft. Healing. True. The cool night air surrounded me, but inside, something was beginning to stir. Not just desire, but hope. That love, in all its strange, silent ways, still lived here. It had just changed its shape. As I lay beside Jack, his breath steady and soft, I whispered into the dark, a vow only the stars could hear, that I would honor this feeling, however unexpected, however quiet. Because love doesn't always wear the face we expect. Sometimes it comes gently, and sometimes it saves us.